Hey guys, so this week we decided to branch out a little bit and I've incorporated some of my family and friends' delicious treasured recipes. On the menu this week we have a yummy Frito Pie, lemon bar, and a delicious sangria. Let's get started. I have in my saucepan already a entire onion that I have finally diced up and I have sauteed till it's lightly browned. Probably 5-8 minutes long it'll take for that to happen. I'm now going to add 2 teaspoons of garlic, the equivalent of about 3 cloves. I'm going to start to saute that up until it starts to become fragrant. Usually takes about a minute.
Where's this recipe come from, Chef?
This recipe was a friend of mine, Lindsay, introduced me to a Frito Pie. She made her own little knockoff version of it. Basically, it's just chilies that you dump over a open bag of Fritos. She introduced it to me, and then when I was visiting Atlanta, Georgia, we went to a barbecue place and it was on their menu and I had to have it there and it became a huge thing. I was like, oh my god, this is like weirdly delicious. All right, I am now going to add to this saucepan. I have 2 pounds of lean meat. I like to go for the higher percentage meat and less percentage of the fat. So I think this is a 95 and 4 or 3% fat. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in and brown that up for probably about 5 to 10 minutes until you no longer see any pink. All the meat. But so going back to the story, sorry about that. I came across it through Lindsay and I wanted to find my own little recipe for it. So I found this recipe and so yeah, I think going forward, I'm just gonna continue calling this Lindsay's treasured recipe. So we've got the meat all nicely browned, no more pink seen, and I went ahead and also, as you cook meat, the fat has a tendency of obviously becoming liquid, so I went ahead and drained that to remove it entirely. I am now going to go ahead and add 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Give that a mix. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in 1 entire 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. Give that a mix. And then I'm going to start adding my spices. I have 2 tablespoons of chili powder here. Spicy. 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. And then I also have 3 teaspoons of ground cumin. Gonna give that a mix. It smells so good. For some reason, no one doesn't have any access to a hob or anything like that. You could also totally do it in a crock pot. It would just probably take a little longer because obviously you're gonna put everything raw into it and then cook it. You probably, if you're gonna do it in a crock pot, I would suggest between 3 to 6 hours on a low heat or 2 to 4 hours on a high heat. I'm gonna go ahead and add, I have 1 can of fire roasted dry or green chilies. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in. Gonna now mix up the green chilies and then I'm gonna start throwing in the can of beans. I have 2 whole cans of pinto beans. Those are going in. And then just because I like 3 bean chilies really. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in 1 can of red kidney beans. Give that a nice big old mix. I wish you guys could smell this right now. And And I'm now going to cover it and I'm going to let it simmer for 20 minutes. So while the chili is cooking, I am going to get started on a sangria, which is one of my mother's treasured recipes. First things first, we're gonna dump an entire bottle of Spanish red wine. She preferably said that Roja is better for this recipe. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump an entire bottle into my pitcher. Just the smell of it already reminds me of when we were in Spain. Then I'm gonna add half a cup of orange juice. And then half a cup of brandy. I'm gonna go ahead and add in a couple of slices of orange juice. All the fruity goodness. And now I'm gonna add probably about 1/3 of a cup of blueberries. I'm gonna add 4 strawberries. And then I'm gonna go ahead and slice up a Granny Smith apple and a red apple. Get in there. Give it another little mix. And while the chili continues cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in the fridge and let it mingle and do its thing. Okay, so I've gone ahead and taken the chili off the heat and I'm gonna let it blend and do its own thing. While that's happening, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on today's dessert. We have a delicious lemon bar. I'm gonna get started on making the crust. I'm gonna go ahead and put 5 cups of flour into my food processor. Gently get, I'll save that bit for later. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 cup of white sugar and then about half a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm gonna go ahead and give that a little mix. Loud noise. Now I'm going to gradually add 1 pound of butter, which is basically the equivalent of 1 package of 4 blocks. So I'm gonna get started on that. Mix. Gonna put it in for a few more seconds. All right. This is a light crumb crust basically, and I'm gonna go ahead and dump it into my 9 by 13 inch pan. This is one of my delicious treasured recipes. I do this for all sorts of occasions. Sometimes I don't do it for any occasion. Sometimes people are just like, hey, make the lemon bars.
Who could that be?
The list is never ending. Now I'm gonna just press it down evenly. I have the oven preheating at 350 and I'm gonna bake the crust for about 10 to 15 minutes until the edges become light brown. And while that is happening, I will start assembling the lemon filling. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in the oven. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on cracking my 12 eggs into my bowl. Give that a whisk. Now I'm going to add in 4 cups of sugar. Just a little bit of sugar. Add a mix. Bringing it around. Yeah. 2 cups of lemon juice. Give that a whisk. And go ahead and add in the 1.5 cups of flour. Mix everything up. Now I'm going to go ahead and zest 1 entire lemon into here as well. All right. Now I'm gonna let the crust cook for a few more minutes, and then I will be back to fill it up with this. Gonna pull the crust out, and then I'm gonna throw the delicious filling inside. So as you can see, the edges are golden brown, which is exactly what we were after. I'm gonna go ahead and pour this into here. I'm now going to gently transfer it back to the oven and bake it for a further 20-25 minutes. Now it's filling. Okay. Good night. It's my favorite part. Yum. So what I'm gonna do is, with a bag, just a standard bag of Fritos, gonna gently slit it, cut the bag open, and then with the ladle, I don't know, onto the top. Little dollop of daisy, or however that goes. And then a sprinkle of cheese. And then, just because I like a little bit of spice, a couple of jalapenos. And then I will go ahead and also start with my little sangria. So my mom's treasured recipe, she doesn't call for sugar, but most of the recipes elsewhere ask for a little bit sweeter. If you want to add it, make it a little sweeter, go ahead and put some of a little bit of simple syrup in it. Gonna top it off with some seltzer. Cheers! Gonna take a bite. Oh yeah, that's really darn good. It reminds me definitely of when I was back in Atlanta, Georgia, when we were at that barbecue joint straight away. Ooh, don't mind if I do. Cheers.